advice that they give you. What do you think is the problem with it? Why do you think it's a I guess a failed system now?
A dying system.
Yeah, a dying system. And why should people look to real estate instead?
I just came out with a new book. It's called Time Machine.
Okay.
And in that book, what I do is I talk about the 5 different ROIs that can help anyone achieve a lot of wealth in a very short period of time. I'm reading some of the comments because we're live, and there's someone here saying, "Oh, this is why the rich stay rich." I'm like, I started poor. I don't know about you guys, but I didn't.
Same.
Listen, I might be 6'5" in finance, but I didn't start with a trust fund. Okay, I don't got the money. I had to create that wealth, and we're really exposing here how we did that. And so when you take a look at the system of 401ks and IRAs, the problem is that everything society asks you to do with your money is single digit.
Yeah.
And so we have the stats they're in. At 65 years old, the average person that followed society's game plan has $254,000 in retirement. But right now, as of this year, the average American across the board has an average of $304,000 of equity in their home. So their equity that was never a retirement plan, that was an accidental, I was just buying a home to live in for my family.
And paying the mortgage.
Yeah.
Gave them more money than a 40-year intentional plan.
Wow.
And the average person in retirement spends 85 grand a year, so your 250 grand will last you 3 years. You spent 40 years saving money for 3 years. And so if I'm critical about Dave Ramsey, it's because he gets people focused on the wrong KPI, the wrong goal. His outcome is debt is evil, get out of debt. I'm like, well, actually, I love debt, and debt makes me money, and Dave, you know that because of all the real estate you own. No, it's a little hypocritical. Dave's good for people that are irresponsible and uneducated with money, where it's like, hey, if you don't know how to budget and you're blowing your money, blowing your wad, then yeah, you got to actually get all your stuff paid off. But you've got a lot of good people that actually buy into that philosophy of no debt will set you free. I'm like, dude, when you wasted 22 years of your life or 16 years of your life on Dave's Baby Steps program, and you're like, I'm 52 and I'm finally, like, I'm out of debt. I'm like, you were out of debt 30 years ago. Mm-hmm. You wasted all your time because for money to multiply and to invest it and go somewhere, you need time. And so you focused on getting out of debt. What you should have been doing was actually growing your money. Mm-hmm. And if you can learn, most people have debts at like 5, 6, 7%, not 18 and 22, like reasonable rates. When I can make money earning 25% or 50% or 60%, why would I ever focus on eliminating a 5% mortgage?
Good point.
When I can grow my money at 50%? It doesn't make sense. So make the money, make money, and then go pay off your debts. Like, people are retiring their money in the they're doing it out of order. They're prematurely satisfying their debts. They're like, if I pay off my debt first, then I can invest. I'm like, Go invest, make your money matter, make your money make money, then go pay off your debts. Because what would you rather have? Would you rather be debt-free, or would you rather have 10,000 residual dollars coming in every month for the rest of your life growing at 10%?
You're right. Yeah.
That's financial freedom. The first one is actually a form of bondage, and it's a waste of time.
Slavery, almost.
Yeah.
So, Dave Ramsey, when he does talk about buying real estate, he talks about buying real estate cash, not using loans. What are your thoughts on buying houses cash versus buying homes with leverage with banks? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I love leverage, and I put 20% down on pretty regularly. The bank puts up the other 80% of the money. And my rule is I don't want a house to be ever more than 50% paid off. When I talk to someone, once their house is 50% paid off, I start freaking out. Because all I see is, hey, if that worked for you, harvest that equity and go buy 3 more.
Right.
Yeah. Think about that person that is 65. A lot of young people are watching this, but imagine you're 65 years old and you got $300,000 of equity in your house and you have $300,000 for retirement. And you know that you only have a few years to live with what you save for retirement. And strangely, you're like, but I got $300,000 in equity. And in that moment, you're thinking, if I had just bought 6 or 7 more of these, I'd be worth $2 million. And then I'd have a residual income from a bunch of paid off houses, and then I could live my life. But instead, I'm going to have to go back to work or rely on government or rely on charity, and I'm going to drop below the poverty level on my income because I can't stretch my money. But modern medicine's going to keep me alive for 40 years, yay.
Gotcha.
That's scary, man.
Yeah. So would you say it's not a good idea? Because I have bought houses cash before, but typically it's because they couldn't do a loan. It was the end of the year. I didn't have time to do a loan. I'd buy it cash then. But, I always cringe at myself whenever I'm like, oh my God, I got to buy this thing fucking cash. Because I do think it's a foolish thing because you can take that, let's say $300,000, $400,000 and buy multiple homes and then get the cost, get the depreciation benefits. And for the audience, when we talked about depreciation over 27 and a half years, it's off of the purchase price. So if you buy 4 of those houses versus only buying 1, you're able to get way better tax benefits. But I guess in what situation would you say does it make sense to buy cash besides maybe some of the ones I?
Well, first of all, there's always a way around. Like right now, you have DSCR loans, and they'll basically say, hey, if you're going to buy a home cash, do it cash, and then 2 months later, refinance it. Pull 60% of the money out on a DSCR loan.
Oh.
Then they're gonna qualify you not based on your credit or your job income, but actually on the merit of the rents from the house. So I have hundreds of houses that I do DSCR loans for. If you have anything paid off right now, put those loans in place, and then all of a sudden you've got that money out, and it wasn't a qualifying game. Your credit didn't even matter.
Wow.
Interesting. I didn't even know about this. So if you you said it's called what? DCR loans?
DSCR.
DSCR. So if you have a home paid off,
Yeah.
go to these people.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to pull out, what is it, a cash out refi essentially is what it
Well,
becomes,
here's what's happening. I got people all over the world that follow me on my social, and they say, Kris, will you be my mentor? Partner with me. And they're basically saying, if I put up the 401k and IRA or equity in my home, will you put your team to work buying and doing all the work so I don't have to learn how to do this? I don't want to be coached. I don't want to do it. I just want you to do it for me. And so I'll go in and we'll partner up, and I have 1,800 partners around the world. I build their portfolios, and a bunch of my partners are in a situation where they can't use their credit. So I have to use an alternative method. My method is we just go buy cash. I pull my investors together in a fund, we buy cash, and then it's like, okay, well, when you buy cash, your ROI drops by like 80%. It's awful, right? Like
You're lucky if you could get a 10% return.
You'd be lucky if you can get a 10 or 11% return. Yeah. But that's when I go and buy them cash. I do the DSCR loans, pull 60% of the money out, go buy cash again, do the 60% loan, and do it a third time. And now I have a whole bunch of houses where maybe the houses are more like 40%, 45% loan to value. So they're over half paid off, but now they're still performing at they're not performing at a 60% ROI. They're still performing at a really high ROI, something that kicks the trash out of your 401k.
Gotcha. And what's the interest rate like back on these, and what's the repayment
It's
time?
actually really similar, especially because there's not a lot of risk to the bank. The bank's like, hey, we're only giving you 60% instead of the traditional 80%. So rates are identical.
Okay.
Yeah.
To whatever's in the market. And then what is the repayment like? Is it like 30 years?
It's just a normal 30-year.
Really?
It's nothing weird, nothing funky. Dude, it's just
Fixed rate, 30-year.
So it's basically a less risky cash out refinance for the bank.
You got it.
Essentially.
And they love them.
Yeah.
And
They'd
they're-
rather
and-
give that out.
Yep. And it's great for people like me that are complicated, because it's like the average person only can get 10 loans on their credit. DSCR is a way to work around that and say, okay.
Oh, it's not Fannie Mae. Okay, real quick for the audience. So guys, if once you start doing this and getting into real estate, you could get 10 loans that are like Fannie Mae loans that like give you the good interest rates and everything else like that. After that 10, because I've had to deal with this, you have to start becoming a bit more creative with your mortgage broker and finding loans and stuff like that. So this is one that doesn't count towards that 10.
Doesn't count.
One more
That's
time.
really good.
DSCR. Okay.
Yep.
That's something new. I didn't know about that.
Yeah,
Now,
my world revolves around that
so
system.
let me ask you this then, Kris. What if someone says, well, Kris, why would I do that when I could just do a home equity line of credit? And I can have the money available to me. I could borrow more, and it's there. I don't have to necessarily pull out one time and then use it.
Yeah.
Why not just do a HELOC?
Credit.
Home equity lines of credit only work on primary residences. So when you start buying investment properties and it's like, hey, there's cash, I want to get it out, you have to do a cash out refinance. Yeah. You really can't do a home equity line of credit. So
It's really hard on you. You have one on a rental, but they gave you a high rate. You want to tell the audience about it a little bit?
Luckily for me, I have a relationship with my lender, and he made a different type of loan for me, but it's this hybrid between HELOC and cash out, basically.
Yeah. It's not easy to get.
Yeah, it's not easy to get.
no, and that's not a standard program.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, I would say a lot of my people that I work with, they either come at me with retirement or equity in a home. Like if you bought a home and if you're watching this and you're like, well, I've had a home for 5 years. Trust me, you have over $100,000 of equity. And in my opinion, if you don't touch it, that means that your goal is to pay it off. And I think that's stupid. You should be asking, how do I harvest that? How do I take that out? Because, dude, think about most people. The average person's country, average household income is $80,000 a year. Like, even if you're saving 20% of what you're making, that's like, what, 15 grand a year? How are you ever going to save enough? You wait a decade and you're like, hey, I finally have 150 grand.
Too
That's
long.
it. It's way too much time. You're wasting time. It's about performance of your money over time, and you got to start young. And so if you have equity, you pull that out, and that's your path.
So let's say, Kris, I'm someone watching here. I'm 25 years old. I want to get into real estate and do this the right way. Should I use you, or how should I start this program, you'd say, to get this started?
Well, I think you always have two options. The first one is you have to ask yourself, am I interested in real estate as a shortcut because I want the money, or am I actually passionate about learning how to do it? And I'm going to tell you, I've ruined a lot of people over the years that I trained to do real estate that never wanted it. And so you have to ask yourself, am I going to become the master? Malcolm Gladwell says 10,000 hours to master something. Yeah. So if you're like, if this is like your thing, like when I look back on my working life, I'm going to look back and say there was a handful of things I mastered and real estate was one of them, then you should do it on your own. Go find a mentor, get a coach, do it on your own.
Got it.
But you got to be honest with yourself. If you're like, yeah, the reality is I'm interested in real estate because I know how lucrative it is, but I know I'm going to cut corners. I don't trust myself to do it on my own. Then you got to find a partner. You go find someone that mastered it. And I would rather have a slice of watermelon than an entire grape. Because when you partner with someone like me who's making 60% of my money, half of that is 30%, there's no way on God's green earth that you're going to make 30% on your own. Yeah. Forbes reports that the average investor pulls in 10.4%. On their real estate. I'm doing 60. So someone says, hey, if I partner with Kris and he does all of the work, that's way better than my learning curve of trying to figure the game out. So it depends if you want to be the master or it depends if you just want the benefits.
So Myron mentioned my property I first got, and I had a mentor to help me with that property because I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew it was money in real estate. So that's a good point. Yeah. Find a mentor that knows his stuff.
Hey guys, get your questions in because obviously we got an expert in single-family homes, residential real estate. So if you guys got questions, make sure to get in. Literally a master at this stuff. So let me ask this because we talked about the benefits of real estate. We talked about residential versus commercial. You know, the scam of IRA, buying cash versus using leverage. So I guess for the audience that's